Okay, so you guys sent us this article, and honestly, when I first saw the headline about Lil Wayne and Chris Brown,
Yeah.
it was like, wait, what?
Yeah, COVID relief funds.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy, right?
It does seem a little out of place, doesn't it?
Totally.
If we rewind a bit, back during COVID, the pandemic, obviously the whole US was shut down, and the entertainment industry was hit particularly hard.
Right.
Venues had to close, tours were canceled.
Yeah, everything was dark.
Basically, the whole industry went on pause.
Yeah, it was really tough.
Absolutely. And that's when the government stepped in with those huge aid packages.
Right.
And one of the key programs that was part of that was the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant, or SVOG.
Oh, yeah, right.
And this was specifically designed to help, these performance spaces, theaters, entertainment venues weather the storm and hopefully, reopen their doors when it was safe.
Yeah, it was a total lifeline for the industry, I remember. But hold on, so Lil Wayne and Chris Brown somehow got wrapped up in this. But wait, those grants were for like the venues themselves, not for the artists, right?
That's the million-dollar question, and that's really where the controversy lies.
Okay.
The allegations aren't that Lil Wayne and Chris Brown themselves directly pocketed this money. It's a little bit more nuanced than that.
Okay.
What's being alleged is that entities connected to these artists, and think like production companies, studios, things like that,
Okay.
they're the ones that actually received funds from the SVOG program.
So hold on. These companies tied to Lil Wayne and Chris Brown somehow got money that was meant for these struggling venues.
Yeah.
I don't understand. How does that even work?
Well, and that's really where things start to get a little murky.
Okay.
And honestly, that lack of clarity is, I think, driving a lot of the skepticism.
Right.
Were these companies truly eligible under the, SVOG guidelines? Did they actually operate venues that would have qualified for the program? Or was there some, let's just say, creative interpretation of the rules?
So maybe like technically by the book, but not really in the spirit of the program?
Exactly. Yeah. And, if you remember, government records show that literally billions of dollars were distributed through this SVOG program.
Wow.
I mean, it's a massive amount of money, so it's totally understandable why people are going to want to make sure that every dollar went to the right place.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's interesting, though, because, you've got these artists like Lil Wayne and Chris Brown, and just on the surface, it doesn't seem like they would need any financial assistance.
Right.
These are huge names in music.
If they're A-listers.
People
That's
probably
yeah.
assume they're, rolling in money.
That's exactly it. I think that's really at the heart of the public perception problem here.
Yeah.
The music industry particularly, for artists at that level of success, they project this image of wealth extravagance.
Sure.
It's hard for a lot of people to reconcile that with the idea that they would actually need some kind of financial safety net, even during a pandemic.
Right. Right. I bet that just makes people even more skeptical, especially since there's already this like general distrust when it comes to celebrities and philanthropy.
Oh, absolutely.
There's definitely a history there of, high-profile figures engaging in these charitable acts that later on you find out are more about, their public image than actually making a difference.
Right, right.
And so it creates this cynicism.
Totally. So where do Lil Wayne and Chris Brown stand on all this?
Well, both artists, through their representatives, are denying any wrongdoing.
Okay.
They're claiming that, the funds were applied for and used totally in accordance with the program's rules.
Okay, but are they addressing the core question here? Like, did these companies actually qualify for the SVOG funds, or were they taking advantage of a system that was designed to help struggling venues?
I mean, that's the piece that remains unclear.
Right.
And this is where the focus, I think, needs to shift from the individual artists and kind of zoom out to the larger system at play.
Was there enough oversight in place to prevent this kind of potential misuse of funds? Were the SVOG guidelines themselves clear enough, or were they too vague and open to interpretation?
Yeah, because, I mean, if this could happen with, super high-profile figures like Lil Wayne and Chris Brown,
Right.
you got to wonder how many other cases are out there that we just don't know about.
Exactly. And this situation, I think, really shines a light on the potential for exploitation, within these massive relief programs.
Yeah.
And, the speed with which these funds were distributed. I mean, the government was trying to get money out the door quickly to help people.
Right.
But that urgency, might have compromised the due diligence process.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then that kind of leads us to this bigger issue, right, of public trust. Because if people see that these funds are being misused, especially when big names are involved, it just erodes their faith in the entire system.
Absolutely. This isn't just about celebrities and COVID relief. No. It's about how incidents like this can fuel, cynicism and distrust in government programs and aid programs in general, which are often, vital for helping people in times of crisis.
Right. Totally. So we started out talking about this crazy headline with Lil Wayne and Chris Brown, and now we're talking about, systemic issues, oversight, public trust. It's like this whole thing just opened up this way bigger conversation.
Yeah, it's a perfect example of how a deep dive can uncover so much more than what's on the surface.
Right.
What seemed like a story about individual actors has actually revealed these broader questions about, how we manage large-scale aid programs, the potential for exploitation, and the importance of maintaining public trust.
It really makes you think.
Yeah.
I mean, if this program, designed to help people in need could be vulnerable, what does that say about other programs?
Right.
And what can we do to prevent this from happening again? What kind of safeguards need to be put in place?
I think those are some great questions to consider. And honestly, they apply to so many aspects of, society beyond just this one program.
Right.
Transparency, accountability, clear guidelines, ethical considerations. These are all crucial components of any system that manages, public resources.
Totally. So after this deep dive, I'm curious, what are your thoughts on this whole thing?
Yeah.
Is this a case of, a couple of bad actors taking advantage of a flawed system? Or does it point to a bigger problem with how aid programs are structured and managed? Let us know what you think.
Yeah, hit us up on social media.
We'd love to keep this conversation going.
Let's chat.
All right, see ya.